So tonight, a friend of mine pointed out the infection rate on just the White House campus at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is currently 23 times the entire country of New Zealand. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just that block. So you've covered politics, you've covered people, I've been in it. The greatest aspiration for anybody is to be in the White House, to work in the White House, to be an advisor, be a journalist, be anything like that. It is probably, it is not probably, I could not imagine a more miserable place to work now.
Oh my God.
The New York Times is not, news organization not even allowing their reporters on the ground.
Well, because at least three reporters have contracted.
Right.
You know, the White House press secretary comes out there proudly not wearing a mask.
Secret Service.
Yeah.
What about the people that work in the White House mess?
James, I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you. This will shock you. They don't care about those people. They just don't care.
Yes, they really don't. They really don't. And I don't look. I do not want Trump to die from this at all because I want him to go to the penitentiary. That's where he's going. I promise you, and he knows it.
That's why it scares me right now.
Right? No, it should scare you.
I think one of the most disappointing things for me last week was Father Jenkins, the president of Notre Dame, prestigious university, prestigious educator. First of all, he should never have gone to the pep rally, political partisan pep rally, for the nomination of Amy Barrett at the White House. I mean, it's fine for him to endorse his former law professor. If he wants to do that, that's fine. But, that's his prerogative to endorse Judge Barrett. But he shouldn't have gone to that pep rally at the White House. I'll tell you this story. They did something fairly similar indoors when Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed, and they told the Supreme Court members this is just going to be routine, and they got there and Trump sandbagged them. He turned it into some kind of really partisan rally again. So you knew it. And then for Father Jenkins, who's insisting on social distancing at Notre Dame, and kids can get kicked out if they don't socially distance, to go 200 people and not wear a mask. You know, I think he's been an admirable man. He heads a fabulous university, but that really, really was just terribly disappointing.
Yeah, I think that Notre Dame of today is not quite the Notre Dame you want to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, look, Father Jenkins brought in Obama and caused a big brouhaha in 2009.
Right.
I think these right wingers have got a pretty good toehold in there now.
Yeah.
And no, not to say there's 1,000 top rank academics at Notre Dame. It's obviously a very fine institution, but it's not Father Hepsburg. I mean, the bill. Remember, Bill Barr gave this famous speech about curbs on human rapacity at Notre Dame, and that board. Father Jenkins has a lot of interests he's trying to balance, but he did not do himself. I mean, and these colleges are like kicked. I had a friend of mine, kid at Tulane, got kicked out for having a party at his apartment with 12 people in. I mean, just boom, he's gone.
Right. And I mean, A, as I say, he shouldn't have gone. B, he should have worn a mask. It's just incredibly disappointing. Hey, before we turn on to some really fascinating guests, let me just go through. Let's do just a little bit of politics. We agree the presidential race is over. We'll discuss that, in the ensuing weeks. Let's just go to Congress. I've been talking to some people in the House, and Democrats are going to pick up, maybe 15 House seats. That was not thought possible a year ago. And give me, what's your outlook in the Senate now?
Well, but what happens is everybody says, well, there are competitive races there are 10 competitive races. So you figure, well, you should get 5. It generally does not work that way. You're more likely to get 2 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In most years, all of the close ones tend to fall a certain way. And right now I'll be very optimistic that we'll be well over, I think we'll be closer to 55 than 50. I really do. Because I just can't see how, given the current environment and the current national mood, and you just keep hearing Republican posters telling people we're doomed, and it got bad over the weekend, and was obviously got bad after the debate. So, if I had to bet, I'd bet we right at 55 seats. I really would. And that's really optimistic. That's really I wouldn't bet that. If you gave me some odds, I'd take it. But that's a high optimistic number. But
yeah, it is. But it's the trend. It's the direction. At least I'm talking to the Michelangelo of American political elections. But it also strikes me in all that I've covered that when it's really close at the end, the vast majority of times it breaks against the incumbent.
yeah, that seemed, Nate Silver had a piece, and the usual was pretty detailed, but it kind of broke a little bit for Obama in 2012. But and the other thing, we were a challenge in '92 at Washington World Room. My students, we actually were more ahead than the vote did, but Perot had a lot to do with that. All right, so I wouldn't say '92 is a good example, but I'm very comfortable in telling our listeners, and you all, because you've covered more elections than I've been in,
Close call.
that they generally it breaks the incumbent's way.
Right.
I mean, a non-incumbent's way.
Right.
That's a pretty general but accurate rule to make about American politics.
Yep.
And now the generally the way people do it is you take the incumbent's vote, add what you think the third party vote is, and then subtract from 100, and you end up with the challenger. That is not a crazy exercise.